Welcome to Floating Leaf Tea Podcast. I'm Showen.
And I'm Noah.
Whoa, you keep that right.
Pretty rhythmic.
Rhythmic. Yeah.
So today we are drinking, I'm just going to go right into it.
Whoa. Okay, Boomer.
Donghua, which is also known as the big sister cake to some people.
Oh yeah, that's right. It's a puer tea from 2011. A lot of people know this cake as the big sister cake. When we used to do tea tastings in the store, and when
I remember that.
About last year.
Not very well, but I kind of remember it.
And then when we used to do tea tastings in our store, and when we used to travel to other cities to brew tea, if we ever do puer, Donghua is the big sister cake is normally on the menu, tea tasting menu for people. And we'll slowly get into it to talk about this tea.
Yeah, and you know why I chose this tea today? And I chose the tea. Makes me feel very powerful.
Okay, Boomer.
This last couple weeks has been really good, and we're really grateful for the big turnout for the sale. Mm-hmm. It's been a lot of work, and I've been really relying on my meditation practice to help me calm down and relax. Mm-hmm. I just do a simple breathing meditation and follow a teacher that everyone knows named Thich Nhat Hanh.
Thich Nhat Hanh.
He's my crush. And
I'm not sure if I dare to do a big shout out to Thich Nhat Hanh. I would just do it. Why not?
Shout out. And I was watching a talk that he was giving about how to deal with negative emotions. He said that when you have a feeling like anger or fear, use mindfulness to embrace that feeling and feel it for what it is, like a big sister.
Oh, he said that?
Yeah.
Like a big sister?
Yeah, and it made me think, big sister cake. I want to drink that.
Why? Do you need to embrace your negative thoughts?
Yeah, always.
Oh, dang. I thought about it a bit different today. I thought this tea is really well chosen because...
Thank you.
It's okay, Boomer. Because we are kind of using this session to send our gratitude to people and to also know that how exhausted we are. And so tea for a lot of people is not simply a cup of tea. Some people actually use tea to do to work as medicine, food, medicine in their context. And sometimes I do that too. And today I thought, well, I really need some energy from the tea, but not those super like knock me out kind of energy either. I also need a little bit nourishment or comforting to make me power through the next few days in a way to recover, to get nurtured, and to recover.
Recover twice.
And so I thought, wow, this tea really is appropriate for that. And then when we drink that, hopefully it will show up that way. Or maybe it will just show up as a really big sister and knock my socks out. I don't know. Sometimes tea is very mischievous. I'm kind of scared of tea sometimes. And sometimes tea is very kind. Cool. Then let's start. Also, it's very exciting to drink puer.
Yeah, haven't been drinking puer actually. We're drinking a lot of oolong. I was thinking about what our Mr. Lai said the other day. I was thinking about it. He said when I asked him, so teach us how to brew really roasted oolongs, light fragrant oolongs, yancha, even aged oolong. How do you brew puer? He's like, puer is easy to brew. You just brew it. Okay, then why does my puer not taste very good?
Yeah.
I think about that often, and I'm just like, I have no idea what he meant by that, but hopefully I'll figure it out someday.
I think puer tea is very challenging.
Yeah, me too.
To be brewed well.
The smell is really good.
I think I might have opened a big sister with a big sister. Kind of brewing approach. I encountered this cake in 2016, and I would say that's one of those memorable tea experiences I have encountered in my life. This is actually one of them. So big shout out to cousin Jake and to dear friend David in Poland. Those two gentlemen were there with me when this session happened. And I know that without them, the tea might not have shown up that way either. So I am very grateful those two wonderful souls were there with me. And that day was very surreal. The whole experience was very surreal to me. It was very beautiful. I don't think I'll really go into that because it's not about that day. It brought a very fun memory to me.
That's wonderful.
Yeah?
Yeah.
In what way?
Feels like a combination of opening and hugging.
A lot of people, not a lot of people, a few people. I remember when they drank this tea, they do feel like somebody was hugging them. Yeah. And that's a beautiful, really, really beautiful part of this tea. Yeah. And that's actually, I was feeling a very specific feeling when I first drank this tea, and I couldn't really grasp it. And after a couple of infusions, Mr. Zhan say something about the tea, and it totally registered with that feeling. And that's why we named this cake the Big Sister. He just said, "Isn't this tea interesting?" As a young tea, so when I drank it in 2016, the tea was 2011. And so it was only like 5 years old. He said, as a young cake, it actually have a old feeling. And I say, how so? And he said, it always feel like there was a really kind older sister's presence in the room when he drank the tea. And there was a feeling that I was not knowing how to express it. And it's not even about the tea, like, oh wow, the texture is so soft or whatever. It's just that it was a feeling in the room. And I thought I was not to myself or something. I was not very certain of myself, actually. Like, was this even real? And I think puer tea, in a way, to me, is extremely powerful. This way is in puer teas, in a good puer tea, I feel different style of presence for sure. And also if we just bring the tea back into our body, not even, let's say, external feelings of the tea presence in a room or things like that, let's bring the tea back into our body. So first, let's do that. Start with the scent, surface scent. It's really harder to nail a structure, specific
compared to drinking oolong
tea. Yeah, because a lot of you guys out there know that I'm very big on nailing down a structure in a tea broth, in a scent, in a blah blah.
Oolong is a man-made thing. Oolong is a man-made thing. It's easier to see what a person created in a way.
True. And teacher said puer tea is from nature. And so I think with things that it's out of nature. I mean, oolong tea is out of nature, by the way, too. But it's a lot of oolong teas are actually
there's a lot of kung fu applied to making oolong tea,
and also to grow. Most of the plants are grown nowadays.
Even if you in fields, right?
Yeah. Even if
rows.
you find a 200-year-old tea plant, is already like, in the oolong tea world, it's already like, oh wow, that's an old tree. But in the puer tea world, it's like, oh, that's a young old tree, 200 years old. That's a baby, a baby old tree, like Baby Yoda. Here you go. My son is very into Baby Yoda nowadays, so I just have to mention that. And so even like, once again, let's bring the tea back to our body. It's harder to make me see a shape, to feel a shape of the scent, just on this level.
But it's good. Whatever it is, it's
good.
Really good.
It's really good.
It's gorgeous.
And then let's drink it.
The texture that I am noticing the most is it feels opening.
Yeah, because I on purpose hold the liquid. It cooled down enough. I actually hold because I talk too much. I hold the liquid in my mouth for a few seconds and just try to this way maybe see if I can observe a texture, structure texture in my mouth, and it just feels like it's moving and yet it's not moving. It's really fun. I love puer this way. I think oolong tea you can watch it move, and puer tea it's harder to do things like that. It's like it's there only and it's everywhere too. Yeah.
I can see why. I probably said this 1,000 times on the podcast, but I can see why these teachers are so into puer.
Yeah.
It's just such a huge presence.
Yeah.
With a good puer tea, it's a huge presence. It's like as soon as it's in your mouth, it's kind of everywhere. Without needing to move everywhere.
It doesn't move in a way, and maybe it's moving. We are like too slow.
I mean, it's definitely moving, but it's also not moving. At the same time, it's just fully present right there. But the stimulation and that kind of whatever form of expansion that it's taking is already happening as soon as the tea broth touches your tongue.
Yeah.
Also, I can never identify any flavor notes with puer at all. With oolong, it's like, oh, this one tastes like whatever berries or something. With puer, it just tastes like puer to me, no matter what.
The most note that I can do with sheng puer, especially when it's from old trees, the only thing I can identify is apricot, dry apricot. Like this have dry.
This has it, but they all have it. Once they're like a certain age, it's like it just kind of like the puer taste. I mean, young cakes. I mean, young tree cakes don't have it. Usually.
The apricot, no,
no. But it's just like that's like the puer note because every single old tree tea has it that I've tasted so far.
And I think that's why we don't record puer tea quite a lot. We're actually huge puer fans. I feel it's harder to talk about puer.
It's also why we don't teach a lot of puer classes, right? I mean, it's
harder to express.
Yeah.
It's harder to express puer, and I think oolong tea is a very good vehicle to express what a tea can do. And I mean, there are some highly capable oolong teas that is also hard to trace, but it's easier to get oolong teas that is good quality and it's really easy to watch what the tea is doing. And for me, puer tea has a huge gap. Either it's not super good or it's that wow. I don't know what to say about this one. And so I think in a way I'm waiting for me to become a tea drinker that I can learn to understand puer and to express puer. Then I will share my thoughts with people, and most of the time I try to keep it to myself, not as a secret. It's just like I just want to be I guess have a little bit more acquainted experiences with puer tea. Almost I treat puer tea and all my teas as as a human and as a friend. And I want to know that person or that friend a little bit better to be able to say anything about that person, or to introduce that person. It's not like, let me introduce this friend to you, but I don't know much about the person now. That's pretty rude, huh? Oh. Okay, I'm gonna say it here. I don't know if you guys have that experience, and I'll invite you to do that. All of you puer drinkers out there, every single infusion after you brew puer, the same puer, and then you brew one infusion, open the lid and smell the tea, and tell me what you are smelling. Every single one, okay? Maybe I'll say a little bit more. Why do I say this? It never happened to me, and maybe I was not paying attention. And I say it never happened to me. They say from 2005 to 2017, good puer, bad puer, I have never noticed, especially a very good puer, green puer or not a cooked one. After I brew it, the wet leaves has a sewage water smell. And it was very shocking, but it doesn't mean the tea tastes bad though. So if you guys have the same experience, please reach out to us. I actually went back to ask my tea brewing teacher, and I told him about the experience. He just smiled at me and said, Louis said that before. When you don't know how to brew a tea, it will have a sewage water smell. So I also want to do a shout out to people. If you actually read 陆羽茶经 and you actually read that thing, what the teacher was talking about, would you please point to me? I mean, I'll read it eventually, but I actually haven't read the 陆羽茶经. Very embarrassingly to admit this in public. Please point out to me like which chapter that he actually said that.
Let me reiterate one more time. We tasted a tea from our teacher. This was in 2017.
Is that right?
I believe so.
Yeah.
And it was a puer tea. We brewed it and it tasted and smelled like sewage water. That's a really hard to brew tea, but hadn't noticed that before in puer. Mm-hmm. Now, when we brew puer, we very often...
Almost every single time.
Almost every time. Not every single time, but almost every time. We'll notice a sewage water smell. And
the tea can feel great, though.
Yeah. And the reason I think you said that is because this third infusion, smell the leaves and it smells like that.
Yeah.
Stinky.
Yeah.
Well, you know what else?
What?
I noticed it in aged oolong recently.
Aged oolong?
Yes.
Also have that?
Yes.
Oh, well.
When it's not brewed very well.
Thank goodness. I haven't smelled that yet. Yeah. That's always really shocking to me. It doesn't show up in the surface.
No, the tea broth smells great.
Sometimes it shows up in the surface of a tea broth. That smell carry through.
I don't taste it in the flavor either.
No.
Bitter though.
Yeah, a little bit bitter, sharp, a little bit sharp, but there's a focal point. Actually, I quite enjoy it, and it moves into the body extremely well. But the tea feels a little bit sharper than the previous two infusions. But it feels actually pretty good to me. And I think this is where tea is very interesting to me. Even with the same cake. I mean, this cake, I drank it since 2016. And then it's off and on. I drink it here and there. And sometimes that amazing, soft, comforting quality show up. Sometimes it can get fairly strong. I mean, it never get masculinely strong to me with this tea. So I always see this tea as a feminine tea. But sometimes it's like really strong feminine feeling. But most of the time, it's actually quite soft.
Yeah.
Sometimes it doesn't show up. And I just feel like I can just keep learning from
5 years now, going on almost 5 years.
Yeah, I can keep learning from this cake.
That session was in July, right? Was in July of 2016.
I don't remember which month, but it was more in the middle of the year, kind of.
Maybe even May, right?
Yeah,
maybe even May. So really going on 5 years of drinking this cake.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Also going on 5 years of drinking La La Shan Hong Shui then.
La La Shan Hong Shui will be...
Was that the same trip?
No, it was the winter one.
Before or after?
After. It was the winter trip. 2016, I went twice.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So going on just exactly 4 years of drinking La La Shan Hong Shui.
Yeah.
And we still have a little bit. Thank goodness.
Do we?
Yeah, we have a little bit.
That tea the other day, sorry to go off the subject, Noah told me he wanted to have an espresso shot of tea, and he actually used that tea. And I thought he put a lot of tea in it, and he was like seriously stewing on a hot pot of water for 40 minutes. And I thought I'm going to get a really shocking cup of tea. And it was like one of the best cup of tea I have ever tasted.
I have to admit, I was a barista before, so don't be too surprised.
That's nothing to do. I was a barista as well,
true,
okay?
True. Tully's versus Starbucks. No, but I had done it before. Done an espresso shot of tea with that tea, and it's just amazing. It's really good.
It's really good.
That tea can handle being brewed really strong.
It doesn't
and it's awesome.
feel that strong, though.
Yeah, but you just cook it. You just cook it with a medium to small amount of leaves, and just let it cook for like 20 minutes, maybe.
Oh, yeah, it was. I remember it was a long time. Yeah. It was fantastic experience. So anyway, that's what.
Again, drinking that same tea, though, for 4 years. This one for 5 years. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Been drinking this tea for a long time.
Yeah. And I don't mind continuing to drink them.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, if we're still making it taste like sewer water, We should probably keep working at it.
I hope we have enough cakes.
We do. Mr. Zhan gave me a cake a few years ago
Oh, cool.
as a gift, and then we have a few cakes over there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I would like to keep exploring this cake. Also, keep working on my brewing skills. Get acquainted with my is that acquainted? Acquainted with my teas.
So I have a feeling.
Yes.
Hear me out.
I didn't say anything.
Hear me out. I feel like brewing oolong versus brewing puer, that there's a lot of skills that you can build up around brewing a good cup of oolong tea to really call out what the roaster and what the farmer was going for when they made the tea. With puer tea, I feel like the skill is not as important, but the heart is even more obvious. Your own heart, when you brew the tea, leaves a bigger impression with puer, or more obvious impression.
Yeah. I know that I dare not touch on that subject. That's why I don't say a damn thing.
I see. Then let's reel it back. Too much.
Too much to talk about. So this last infusion was very soft.
Yes.
It feels really good. It just went straight to my belly. That warmth kind of...
Very different than the first 3 infusions, which were all different from each other. It's very different. A lot of change going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What a fascinating tea.
The first infusion was really rich.
Yeah, it's
really rich.
I kind of overbrew it though.
I thought it tasted really good. And then the second infusion, I could feel a really beautiful kind of embracing kind of feeling, you know? And still that opening...
Yeah, that
almost
mouth
like
opening.
a menthol kind of feeling was there. Really, in a really big way. Third infusion was strong.
It's
a little bit
sharp.
bitter. Yeah, sharp, but
Focus in a way.
still got the point across really well. And it really felt really different than the first 2 infusions. And the fourth infusion that we just had,
Really soft.
really soft. Yeah. And then we're about to drink this last infusion.
I'm not sure if the tea is very complex or I'm extremely complex. I mean, inconsistent.
Mine tastes like wine.
Tastes like wine. Really rich again, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, really like full body and feel stronger actually.
Yeah.
And feel very rich again.
And sweet.
Yeah, and the tea is totally not over yet.
Not over. Yeah. Are you kidding me? Yeah. I think it's just starting.
It's just starting.
It's getting revved up.
Yeah, sometimes we have a puer tea that we just did like 12 infusion.
Oh, that one that we made it really stinky. And the first time that we smelled that stinky smell in a puer tea.
Yeah.
That was after we didn't give up on that tea for about 15 infusions.
Yeah.
And we're just like, oh God, it smells so bad, but it feels so good. Just do it one more time. Oh, it stinks still. Oh, but it feels so good.
And we just kept going until I had to run to a class.
Yeah, it was like after hours. We started towards the end of the day, and then we just kept brewing it until like way after we're supposed to leave the shop.
Yeah.
That was a fun day.
Yeah. And right now this tea, I just feel like it's just the beginning of the
There's
tea
a lot more
showing
left.
up. Yeah. Sometimes I think puer tea can be really playful this way. You think it's done? Wait a moment.
We're not going to do a 24-hour live stream with this tea today, so going to have to wrap up the session.
Yeah. And I'm hoping that the tea, and I already feel that the tea will give me enough energy for today to power through my day, and then actually give me that comforting feeling that somebody's hugging me to nurture me this way. And I hope when you drink tea, you got one or two of those teas that will nurture you, and at the same time give you enough power and clarity to go through your days. That's it.
And with that, we'll see you guys next Monday for another tea session with Noah and Sean.
Wow. What a closing.
Bye-bye.
Yeah. Happy tea drinking, everybody. We'll see you on Monday.